Here in just a moment. I know Kenny was there at that meeting that we had. Also in January, one of the things that I've been lucky enough to be included in, and that is the Workforce Solutions South Plains Targeted Occupation Work Group. And what they do periodically, they go in and there's criteria, and these 4 bullet points talk about the criteria to determine who the targeted occupations are. They offer training or educational component that is related to the occupation and result in a credential certification. So if they are on that list, then they qualify for these different grants that might be available through the Workforce Commission. These companies will need to add more than 100 jobs between 2018 and 2028, have entry-level wages that is greater than the existing board's self-sufficiency wage, and also they will need to grow at a rate of 10% between 2018 and 2028. So they identify these different occupations, and if you flip the page, you'll see, I think the list is comprised of like 33 different businesses or industries, and here's just a listing of who some of those are. Software developers, we know the medical area, you're seeing a lot of activity there, but things like electricians, machinists rather, wind turbine technicians is on that list, and it has not always been there, but I think that's going to be very important to us. Construction laborers, like I say, it's a 33 business category listing, and I can get you that information if you ever want it. But this is a process that, like I say, we go through periodically, and it helps us identify areas where we need to focus on in terms of workforce development. In February, from the governor's office, I've mentioned before that I get requests for information from the governor's office of economic development. A couple of that I got in February. A project called Sequel, Texas. They were looking for a 45-acre site to build a 360,000 square foot food processing facility. It's going to be a $150 million project, 700 workers initially. And I was able to get them information on the Plainview Hale County Business Park as a potential site for that project. This is one of the few that I've seen cross my desk where they're looking at a build-to-suit option. They were not after an existing large building. And so that is still an active lead. It's not been determined yet exactly as far as what the final disposition of this project is at this particular time. The next project was Raven Works. This one was really interesting. They were looking for a 400,000 square foot building for a food and beverage project. Big project, 500 million, 220 workers initially. This is one of the few that we actually had the consulting company reach out to us. They learned about the Cargill building out north of town, and it kind of met some of the criteria that they were looking for. We were able to get some things put together and respond to this, and we were about to have a big conference call with the prospect and the consultant and some of our partners that were involved in this, and they made the determination that the facility would not work for them. A combination of things worked against us. They were after 30-foot clearance throughout the facility. The Cargill building doesn't allow that. There are some places where you have 30-foot walls, but in some places it's only 22. I think in the final analysis, what they were prepared to do was tear the whole thing down and build from the ground up, because they wanted some of that infrastructure. They wanted the water that goes out there. They wanted the rail. They wanted interstate access. It met checked a lot of the boxes that they were after. But in the final analysis, they determined that it would be too costly for them to either make that building work or to tear it down and build from the ground up. So we made the short list, but we were taken off the short list whenever they made the final determination about that building. This business will break your heart. You'll be talking to people and things are looking good, and then all of a sudden you get your legs knocked out from under you, and it just kind of takes the wind out of your sail. But you got to kind of pick yourself up and go again, and that's what we try and do. In February also, as you know, I'm working with a company called the Floor Group out of California. They are the company that we hired as consultants to line up some prospects that we can perhaps interest them in our business park. Two projects, California 1 and California 2. Interestingly enough, they are both aerospace industry companies. One manufactures switches that are used by commercial airlines, military applications, and just general aerospace companies. They're kind of interested in us because one of their customers is Bell Helicopter. They know about the Bell plant at Amarillo, and they're looking at a kind of a smaller type building in terms of what I've been seeing come down the pike. They're needing a 30,000 square foot building to relocate their company. So they are planning a site visit. I had a commitment for them to come out in May to visit, and I got an email from them last week, and May has gotten busy for them, and they want to postpone that a little bit, but I still anticipate a site visit from this particular company. And whenever they get here, we're going to roll out the red carpet for them and show them the business park and do everything that we can to get something going out there. The other company is also in the aerospace industry, and what they would need actually, they're looking at the potential of needing a facility out at the airport where they can test their drone technology and drone testing. They like this area because it's not cluttered airspace. They're in California right now where that's an issue for them. And then they would also be looking at a smaller building, 25,000 square foot building in the business park for their research and development side of the company. So they too have shown some interest in coming out as early as next month. So I will keep you posted on where we are with those two companies. In the month of March, met with representatives of Smith South Plains regarding the potential availability of buildings or build-to-suit locations for the new Ford dealership. That is official now. We can announce that. We're going to have a meet and greet and a question and answer get together in the morning at 9 o'clock at the EDC. Everyone is invited to attend that. The Socorro family, who will be the dealers, Annette Socorro is the dealer for their Leadland dealership, and she'll be here along with the rest of her family to meet the community. Whenever I first got a call from her back in December, they knew about the Rager Dykes Toyota store. They just weren't sure that would work for them, and she had me look at other options of land where they maybe could build a brand new dealership, and I worked with her on that. In the final analysis, it was just made more sense for them to go into that existing building out at the Rager Dykes Toyota store. They are going to have to do some work out there. The service area in particular was designed for Toyotas and smaller cars, and it's just not really going to work for them as Ford products. So they're going to have to go in and do quite a bit of remodeling and that sort of thing to make the service area work. But it's great to get our Ford dealer back. And the one thing I like about the fact that it's this particular dealer, they're in smaller towns. They understand small town way of doing things, the values. They want to be involved in the community. They're going to be good citizens, and I think this is far better than we had one of the big mega dealers coming into our community that might not be quite as interested in becoming involved in our community. I'm sorry, Judge, I kind of cut you off.
Well, no, I was just, you said that meeting's at 9 in the morning?
9 in the morning
Okay.
at the EDC. I sent out an email, hopefully you got it. All
Yeah.
of y'all are certainly invited, love to have you there. Chance to ask them, what about jobs, what about, I think they're looking at probably sometime in the fall being open. So there will be some things that people may want to ask them. But I think this is, as you look around and you see all the new construction and what have you that's going on, to me, this is kind of the cherry on top, getting our 4D right. So excited about that. I attended a virtual Excel energy marketing presentation. Our business park out there is an Excel certified site. And that means we had to go through a certain process to submit all this information to Excel. But what that does, they feature it on their website. If you go to the Excel Energy corporate website, there's a tab on there for certified sites. And you can actually see a drone video of our business park that they did. Very well done. And so it's good to have that. So they help us with our marketing of our business park. Excel Energy does. We have started the process at the EDC. Our organization's over 50 years old. And we've been structured the same way for 50 years. And we are in the process of looking at some long-range planning for the EDC. I've visited with Jeffrey Snyder and with the judge, with my president of the EDC. We've had a meeting to kind of have us really kind of evaluate where we're at right now and look at where we want to be down the road and kind of what that process might look like. So that is just getting started. More to come. I talk about my pipeline periodically. I can tell you I've tried to kind of go through and purge and really kind of update my pipeline so it's really got the most current information in there. But basically have 4 projects. We have a food processor that I told you about earlier, that is the company that would do a build to suit if we were to be lucky enough to get them out of the business park. And then we also had a company that was looking at a warehouse distribution facility, and they are needing 15 to 20,000 square feet. This is different than the one I told you about a moment ago. It's a little bit smaller in terms of what their needs are, but they also need rate. Don't have any of the particulars as far as their capital investment or their salaries or number of employees. And then, of course, I have the 2 aerospace companies that I mentioned to you earlier. Recent news, as I mentioned, we have the announcement tomorrow of the Smith Ford South Plains coming to Plainview. And you'll be seeing that in the local media, and then they will release it later to the local area. So hope that you can come to the get-together tomorrow. At this time, I'll entertain any questions that you guys might have.
Any questions, Mike?
Let me say this about the housing study. I do have the complete 136-page housing study that I would be happy to, if you really want me to clutter up your inbox, I'll be happy to send that to you. I've also got a scaled-down version of the slide presentation that they presented to our group last week. But basically, we're going to be having some meetings with some developers and builders and kind of trying to get our hands around what we can do to get some things, whether it's multifamily projects, whether it's single-family homes. It's probably going to take a mix of that in order to address our needs that we have. Kenny was in that presentation. I don't know if you want to share anything that came out of that might be.
Well, I was shocked as well on that 54% number that you came up with. That survey was very thorough. It was very interesting
I think the challenge that we have is the fact that our average salaries are lower than they should be. We're working on trying to get those up, but the bottom line is, if you look at the average household income, about the most expensive home that the average can afford is in that $175,000 price range. That's on the top end. Well, it's hard to build much of a house for that kind of money this day and age, with the building costs escalating. You've just got, the land is not a big issue for us, but it's just the construction cost. And that's kind of a drawback for us, but we are looking at what we can do to try and address that.
Mike, I have a question.
Sure.
In one of your items, and I believe it was your third item, sequel project, and you mentioned grants. Was that it, or did I miss it doesn't matter, that's relevant. I guess, my question was, you said, that it would produce jobs, it had to produce jobs with self-sufficient wages. Could you give us a definition of what, self-sufficient wages in this area?
I think, well, I can kind of get into that. I do know the average household income is somewhere around 54,000. Our average hourly, that's probably, basically what they want to do is incentivize jobs that are paying above what the current average is. That's in this report. Hang on a second.
I don't know why I thought you mentioned it. It was during you said something that they could apply for a grant, and it was,
That's for, okay, like if you're training, if they're on that list of high demand jobs,
yes.
those, though, if you are in those categories, there are grants that are available from the Workforce Commission for training people in those particular specific areas.
Okay.
Like South Plains can apply for them. We do the matching grant with PISD for their CTE program. That's also part of that program.
Okay, but I guess you made the statement that there was a self-sufficient wage, and I'm just curious what it is in Hale County.
That's what I'm looking for. I can tell you I do have what our average salary is for this area. It's here somewhere. Okay. I don't want to lie to you, I can kind of ballpark it, but I can give you the actual. And I've reported that to this group in the past. It's somewhere, the average salary is somewhere in the $32,000 to $35,000 range.
That's what I was thinking there.
I'll get you that exact number.
Okay.
One thing that's listed here, 92% of Plainview cost burden of renter households made less than $35,000 annually. So it's below 35,000. So it's just like at the EDC when we're incentivizing jobs. If a project comes in and they're only gonna pay $15 an hour, we're not gonna incentivize that. They're gonna have to be above what the average is, because that's what our goal is to raise that,
Yes, sir.
that salary.
Okay.
And the same way holds here with the workforce, those high demand jobs.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, I kinda,
That's fine. That's
did-
just intriguing to me, all your information you give us there.
Any other questions on that? Michael, we appreciate you being here, we appreciate
Thank
the
you.
job you're doing. It sounds like things are on the uptick.
yeah, I think we're, slowly but surely, I think things are, if you look around and see what's going on in Plainview, it's kind of making your head spin a little bit, because there's not this kind of activity everywhere.
We just need some new houses built.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
Yes.
think there's any question about that. New houses or apartments or something for people to live in.
That's what
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you. All right. That concludes our agenda today. Appreciate everybody being here, and wish y'all the best good days and the rest of the week. We'll stand adjourned.